Hello everyone! So I thought I'd do a bit more of an informal video this week, and it is going to be the piggies and floor time. So I'm going to give you a bit of information about floor time and what kind of stuff is a good idea to do and not to do. And I'm just going to show you my setup that I have done today for my piggies floor time. And then I'm also going to show you the cage when I have cleaned it out, because as you can probably see, it is in need of a good clean. I'm going to change out the fleece, clean out this area which gets cleaned out every day anyway, and hopefully give the piggies some much needed exercise because they're so lazy. There we go, I've just put the piggies down, and as you can see, this is what my setup is like for their floor time. It's a bit busy, I know, but at last minute I thought I'd just bung in that huge box with the hay in, so hopefully that will encourage them to kind of run around and explore a bit more. Typical Annie, her face is straight in the food bowl. Isn't it, Pig? You're just greedy. She had a nice haircut as well, so her bottom is all nice and trimmed. It always looks really funny though when she's had a haircut. I always put down these huge big cardboard tunnels that I've got, and they were just packaging for something, I don't know what it was, that my cousin ordered, and I saved them, and they've actually been one of the piggies' favourite toys. So they're just having a wander around at the moment, and this is what we want out of floor time. Because they're just exploring their new environment, they're getting that exercise, and that's really what floor time is all about. Even though my piggies have a big cage, it's still good to bring them out in a different place just to give them some stimulation and that all-important exercise. For anyone wondering what is behind here, we have their other litter tray, and I always give them hay at floor time, and I think anyone who does give the piggies floor time should give them hay, because it's one of those important foods. They need it 24/7, and okay, it might stop them from running around and let them munch for a while, but because it's such an important part of the diet, we can't take it away from them really. So they have that litter tray filled up with hay, newspaper, and also that one which has come out of their cage. That one, as you can see, is a bit more flattened and it's had some mess in it, but that's fine. In a way, it'll encourage them to keep going in there, and that's part of litter training them as well, to put the litter trays from the cage out when they have the floor time, and that way they kind of remember that that's where they've been before, and might encourage them to go there again. Hello, Sprite. Hello, Piggy. So one of the things that I get asked about, and people might wonder about floor time, is how much that floor time they actually need, and this really depends on the size of the cage. The smaller the cage, the more important floor time is, and because my piggies have quite a big cage, I don't do floor time a lot really, in all honesty, but I still think it's really important to give them that exercise. Sprite already wants to go back in. She's such a home-loving piggy. You just love your cage too much, don't you, girl? Hey. There you go. You're not jumping. You mean good. Go on, go and explore. So on guinea pig cages, it suggests that if they have a cage smaller than 2x4 grids, they should have floor time every day for at least an hour. And yeah, 2x4 isn't actually that big. In comparison to some pet shop cages, it definitely is very big, but for adult piggies it doesn't really give them that space that they need to run around, especially if they've got all their kind of hideys and litter trays and stuff in there that they need. So I think that's quite a good recommendation. As I've already said, the main thing about floor time is exercise, and really try and keep this in mind. Although this might look a bit cluttered at the moment, I have made sure that there is space for them to run around if they want to. And with my piggies, which are a bit older, they kind of get more stimulation out of having stuff around for them to go in, hop in, wander in, rather than just large open spaces, because large open spaces will probably, they'll just not bother with them, to be honest. Another thing that a lot of people will probably be concerned about when giving their piggies floor time is whether they're going to create a mess on their carpet. And if you haven't spotted it already, we already have someone, one of them has caused a mess on my carpet. So it's kind of inevitable with Floortime that there might be some accidents, but actually there are a lot of things you can do to help keep the area clean, and I don't think it should put you off from bringing the piggies out of their cage. So as I've already said, the main thing for me is using litter trays. But if your piggies, not all piggies can be litter trained, and if they really do just go wherever they want, then you might consider putting down a different kind of surface for them. On guinea pig cages it suggests using bath mats, but anything that is like waterproof, then that will do the job, and you can just clean it off afterwards. But hopefully Lola's going to demonstrate that she's just hopped in there and is going to have a wee. Yeah, there she goes. I'm weird, I can tell when they're weeing even though they don't really look any different. So next is what kind of stuff to put around for them for Floortime. And a good idea is to take some things out of their cage and use them just to give it some kind of familiarity for them. Especially if they're still getting used to Floortime. So for example, I've put their blue hidey, their litter trays, but apart from that everything else is new. And then I've also got their food and water here. So it's a good idea if you've got your cage, next to where you give them Floortime, to just turn the water around. And even though they might not get the idea, it's there if they need it. But in general, if it's only for an hour or so, then they should be alright. And if they get a little thirsty, then they can always have a drink when they get back in the cage. Generally guinea pigs don't actually drink that much. I mean, my water bottles only go down by a tiny amount, but if you do have a big drinker, then maybe think about creating some kind of grid panel or something that you can attach a water bottle to, but then they might not even realise it's there. So what you could also do is give them some veggies during Floortime, like cucumber or something that is good for hydrating them. One of the other things to consider is where to do the Floortime, and also if there's any kind of hazards that you might need to partition off. So for me, this is just my bedroom next to my cage, but despite appearances, my bedroom is quite a mess, especially behind me, which I'm not going to show you. So I've just got this Playpen which I bought off Amazon, and this kind of blocks off this area and then goes right the way behind me and then joins back up with the cage there. I'm not going to lift the camera up because you'll see the huge piles of mess which are still unsorted from being at university. You can buy something special like this. This was actually a hamster playpen, which apparently according to the reviews is no good for hamsters because they can climb straight over it. But for guinea pigs, unless they really want to, then they won't get over it. Sprite has got over it a few times when she's been trying to get back to the cage, and that's why it's good for me to have the cage here. So if she does get in that mode where she wants to try and get back in, then there won't be any risk of her hurting herself if she tries to jump over this. And that was only really cheap. I think it was about £9. Are you coming back to look? But yeah, you could just use grids cable tied together if you had any spares, because the cable ties, as long as you don't do them too tight, then you'll be able to bend the grids into whatever shape you want. Also, to do with this area thing, you might wonder how bigger space they actually need, and as long as it's bigger than the cage, it doesn't have to be huge. For young piggies that do like to run around lots, then a bigger area of floor time is better. But for my piggies, they're quite content with this area, which might not seem huge to some of you. It is actually about twice as big as their cage if you take in all the area together. So I think that's sufficient for them, because they don't really do much exercise, as you can see. They are just enjoying their hay at the moment. There's Lola. Hello, pig. And Annie has just managed to completely bury herself under there, probably getting it all stuck in her hair in the process. Sprite is just wandering up and down thinking, how the hell do I get back in? here, piggy. I'm just going to leave her to it. Hopefully she'll give up. Oh, pig. Don't be silly. A good idea for younger piggies is if you give them a big space. Was that little popcorn, Lola? She's going to eat a poo now, lovely. So for younger piggies, if you give them a big space, then it's a really good idea to have something big in the middle, which kind of encourages them to run around it. I think it's just a natural thing that young piggies have. I know when Pixie and Sprite were little, I always used to put their big bale of hay in the middle of the floor, and they'd just be content with running around that in circles. And then you can also like rustle a plastic bag or something, which always encourages them to go a bit mad and to run laps around whatever it is. So I've kind of put this box in, which I thought might encourage them, but as you can see it's not really happening. But that might be to do with they're obviously distracted by the hay, and also because it's kind of the middle of the day here. That's a time when they're more just naturally relaxed and their activity levels aren't highest. So early in the morning or late at night apparently is when they're more active. So if you really want to try and encourage your adult piggies to get running around, then maybe choose a time when they're meant to be more active, which is early in the morning or late at night. Here comes Lola. Another tip is that it's really good to combine floor time with cleaning out the cage. So I'm going to change all this out, and because I'm here, I'm doing that anyway. I'm not naturally keeping an eye on them as I go, so it's kind of good to combine that, and then you're saving time in a way. And also they might come over and see what I'm doing, but that's fine. As for where to actually do it, the floor time, there's a really good list of pros and cons of different household rooms on guinea pig cages, and I'm going to put the link to that in the description box so you can have a go. If you've got different options of where you might put them, then have a look at that, and just, it's kind of common sense really, but it gives some good pros and cons of the different areas which you might not have thought of. So that's kind of all my tips for giving floor time, and the main thing really is just to remember it's about exercise and stimulation, giving them something different to do. Although it might seem a bit of a palaver first time you do it, the more you do it, the more you get into a kind of routine, the quicker it is to set up and then clean up after them. And it's really a great way for you to bond with the piggies as well, because you have to stay here and watch them anyway, and them just being around you more, and they might come up to you and see what you're doing. That's kind of just all bonding between you and the piggies as well. So if you do have very kind of timid piggies, maybe they're only young, they're not used to floor time, then don't worry, first couple of times, well, first however many times, it will probably be, oh Annie, it will probably be a bit awkward. They might want to just run away and hide, but eventually they will get used to it. Got a bit of dominance issues going on there. I'm just going to put this hay back in here before it messes everything up. Hello sweetheart, you a cutie. They put their beds in there because they like to climb in there, but actually they're just kind of ignoring them today. So now I'm going to get on with cleaning out the cage, and then just show you that when I'm done and I've put the piggies back in their nice new clean cage. So I'll be back in a moment. So here's the piggies in their newly cleaned out cage. I've just changed this fleece and also done the hay room there. When I changed the cage around, I just kind of switch some bits around and put new things in, just so it isn't the same every single time they go back in it. So today they've got their other wooden hut thing in the hay room, which I'm sure they'll enjoy because they like to be undercover when they've got all their hay to snuggle up in. They always have that one there now because it acts as a kind of tunnel for them to go from the hay room and into the fleece section, and then the same for that one that is always there. So in this section today we've just got some kind of soft things. They've got their bed, their soft tunnel which they had out in floor time, and also their hidey hut there in the corner, and then just that wooden thing. I still need to put the pads in, and that's because I'm still waiting for them to be washed. And then upstairs today they've got their igloo there, another food bowl, and that wooden thing which they can chew on if they want, but they never do. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my floor time video. If you have any questions or anything that you want to know, anything else that I didn't mention that I might have missed out, then please just comment below. I always try and get back to everyone who leaves comments on my videos. And if you have any videos which you desperately want me to do, I know I've had a lot of requests for litter training, so I will be doing that one shortly. But apart from that, if there's any other ideas or anything that you have video wise that you want me to do, then just comment below. So thank you for watching, and goodbye from me and the piggies. Goodbye!